Right, I'm going to do a quick video for you here, continuing with the Orca 1, which I am involved with. And this is one of the things we're using it for. So what surgery companies are at risk from new drug therapies? That's a question that's out there. You know, GLP-1s impacted greatly bariatrics. So all I do is I go into the AI module and I just type in natural language. And remember, this does medical devices and drugs, so it'll look across both data sets. And these are specific data sets for our industries. This is not a generic data set that most AIs will use. So I just write in here, I'm needing to understand what mid and late stage drug therapies or drugs are going to replace areas of surgery and the associated medical devices. I care about what medical devices are going to be impacted. So can you go away, AI, and look up the late stage drugs or the mid stage drugs by indication, match them to medical devices, and then give me a summary table of the drug surgical area it may affect and then the devices it will affect, and a list of the medical device companies that are going to be impacted by these drugs. Could have done with this for GLP-1 a couple of years ago. Then what it does is it goes away and it restates the objective. So this system is really smart. It basically says, this guy's not too great at writing the natural language. So then it'll put some constraints and success on it, and it'll create a plan, and it shows you what it's doing. And it's going to go out there, list the device companies, summarize the table, and feel free to scroll back and forwards. So what it's then doing is it's creating its own search strings to go and search the tagged database. So the database of Arcana, which is in Orca 1, has every medical device, every drug, all the clinicals that are going on, all the approvals, all the regulatory statuses. So it's able to go off on this 34 million records that it's found in 50 data sets. It's just the biggest, most comprehensive data set of any system for medical devices and drugs. And now it's going off to look at the metadata of the sources and start to pair them up and match them up. And that's what's pretty amazing in this. And it'll start doing some logic as well. This is not what's, a ChatGPT or Gemini will not do this. This is designed really for our industry. And what it's now doing is it's retrieving the data, it's matching it all up, and it's now running the AI on top of that matched database, which is pretty amazing. It's looking for phase 2 and phase 3 drugs or pre-approval drugs. And it'll then come up with a summary of the drug development that may replace surgery at risk or device companies. And it starts looking at things like, it's got all kinds of things in here, like kidney transplant, liver transplant, vagus nerve stimulation. And it's basically making me a table. And I think I'll go back and look at this table for you so you can see it a bit clearer. But basically, it'll look like a renal biopsy or joint replacement, joint bladder tumor resection. And it'll tell me as well some of the companies. Now here it's just found like Steris or some of the other ones that are highly involved across just by the number of devices. So I wasn't quite as happy with the list of medical device companies that came out in that. So what I'm able to do is I'm actually able to query it further. And I basically said, for the medical device companies that are going to be impacted, I want to know which ones will be impacted the most. I want to know which companies are going to be potentially at risk. So if I was an investor or I was an analyst looking at this, I would be on this all day long. This is going to tell you where the asteroids are coming for these companies. So it goes away and it looks and it tells you what it's going to do. It's going to identify the key surgical areas. It's going to retrieve all the device companies by surgical specialty in that area. It's going to retrieve and present the data in the way that I've asked for. And it's just going off and doing this, but in a very logical way and showing you all the steps. So here's the problem. It's going to be way too many companies. So all of these companies could be impacted by those drugs. But I'm saying, look, this is just too big of a list for me. Give me the top 10 companies that are going to be most affected by this. And I want to know, I want a nice concise list so that if I'm looking at which companies and which areas, should be worried about these drugs that are coming, So it's going to go away and it's going to tell you the approach it's going to take. It's going to focus on surgical areas most at risk, identifying the device types used, and then rank the companies by device portfolio. And step 1, it's aggregating the device companies by surgical specialties. So it's going off and it's going to the Arcana database on medical devices and working that out. And it's working out these companies by the number of surgical devices registered. That doesn't mean it's revenue, so it's one way of looking at it. But basically what it's showing is that Intuitive Surgical is at risk from a lot of these devices, these new drugs that are coming. You've got in there Stryker, Medtronic, Integra Life Sciences. All of these companies are ranked out 1 to 10 of which ones, if new therapies come along, could literally wipe them out. And it works out from a risk analysis as well. So I'm saying, okay, well, I've not seen Boston Scientific on there. I wonder if Boston Scientific is going to get impacted by this as well. And maybe it's lower down in the ranks. So go and tell me about Boston Scientific. So it goes off to the medical device database. It looks at all the data that's in there from the thousands of sources it's got, and it's retrieving their device portfolio and then matching it up to the drug portfolio. And this is just one use case, by the way. You can use this database for anything in medical device. And again, if I was working in any MedTech companies, I would be on this day in, day out. There you go. There's some of the different drugs that are going to impact. So drugs for urinary incontinence, that would affect their surgical mesh and implant accessories. Drugs for erectile dysfunction, penile implant. Oncology drugs. It'll basically say the device type that's coming or the therapy area that's coming, and it will tell you then the impacted area of what it's going to do for that company. So I saw Intuitive as number 1. So what risk would Intuitive be under from these new drugs that are coming? So let's go and now have it go and look at what Intuitive is going to do here. So it's looking at gynecology, general surgery, thoracic surgery, and head and neck. And they're the areas where it's going to be affected. So, let me go back and look at that. So the targeted therapy for gynecology are going to come and basically affect them. Immunotherapy for prostate and bladder cancer, that's a massive risk for them. Hysterectomy, colectomy, bowel resection, lobectomy. So I can go in and look at what's the doomsday scenarios that these potentially have, these new upcoming drugs, way ahead before they hit the market. So this is like looking at the GLP-1s a couple of years ago. We should have seen that coming. Orca 1 can do that for you. And you, with natural language, can go and ask them. There you go. There's some. I went and asked it also for Ethicon. I'm just throwing some. So the GLP-1 antagonist, bariatric surgery, so staplers and energy devices from them. Sutures, staple energy devices are at risk. Immunotherapy for prostate is sutures, staplers and energy devices. So it's able to go and say where in the portfolio. And let's not leave out Medtronic. Let's go and have a look at what Medtronic can get impacted for in different areas as well. I think you might find this interesting. So again, if I was in any of these companies, I'd have a team of people with licenses to this, just scanning this. This would have taken me months and months and months in the past. It's all there. It's all organized. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So there you go. ICDs, pacemakers, ICDs, ablation, pacemakers. So that's the biologics for heart failure. And I could dig into that and say, tell me more about the biologics for heart failure arrhythmias. And it'll dig in. So you can get really, really deep in. And let me take a more specific example. So I want to know, on the positive side, what therapies are coming along that could be used with a system like Ion, the bronchoscopy robot from Intuitive. So again, I just go into the AI, I put in a natural language search, and I'm not great at this, right? Because I don't know the word intratumoral, because that's just not what I do. But I wonder if if the Arcana and the Orca system will actually match those two up and say, this is probably what you're looking for. And it's brilliant at doing this. It works out the right language to go and do the right search from the right database. So I was just looking here, what energy device or what drug therapy could be used in conjunction with the Ion system rather than having a systemic drug. And just make me a summary table of what could be used with it. So I'm thinking of going and doing some partnering with some of the companies. I don't have to go and sit and do loads and loads of trawling through the internet to find this. I just send it off to Orca 1. And Orca 1 goes off and matches up all the databases. First of all, it restates the goal because it realizes the way that I said that was not great. So it'll restate the goal in proper language because I'm pretty useless at that. And then what it's going to do is it's going to identify the clinical trials and procedures, extract the key details, summarize in a table, and then it will cite the sources for me if I want to go and understand the sources. So it's going to go away and it'll generate the right search strings in the right language: lung cancer, intratumoral, or local delivery, or bronchoscopic or robotic bronchoscopy. So it's already worked from ION what it is. It works out backwards what that device actually does in the areas that it's in, and then it goes off and it puts this together in real search terms, and then searches these linked databases, proprietary databases. This is not going off to the web to look for stuff. This is looking from the primary data sources like FDA, NIH, that is embedded and tagged already. So here we go. We can go and see here and see whether there's some devices or device procedures, some drugs that could be used with it. And again, I can ask it to make this table however I want. I just happen to use it on this way today just to show you as a demonstration. But you can see that there's drug and device therapies that are out there. It'll tell you the company or the institution. So Impact Biotech Limited with a vascular targeted photodynamic therapy. That might be something interesting for them. So if you were looking at a system like ION, this will go and find all the areas of the drugs or drug device therapies or procedure therapies or energy devices that absolutely should be looked at with your device. And this is in real time. I've shown you this in real time. So I hope you found this really interesting and useful. It's an amazing tool and it's only just started. I mean, I've seen what's coming down the pipe. So I would highly recommend that if you are in the medical device or drug industry and you are trying to really get understanding and information, and I could put in there examples, well, I'll do this another day. Okay, well, I'm going to make an ION-like device. Show me the whole regulatory pathway. It will give you the whole pathway. Show me the predicates. It will show you all the predicates. It will tell me what testing data I need to do. It tells you basically everything. It's unbelievable as a tool. I use it from as a marketing side, as a way of looking and horizon scanning. So the blog that I did about Beyond Surgery, actually I did a lot of research in here before I put that down. But people ask me, how can you get so many articles out? How can you get so much information out? Because I'm using tools like this, which just cut my research down by weeks into minutes. So I hope you found that useful. And again, go and look up Orca 1, and you can see on my profile where it is. Go and get a couple of people to get a couple of licenses, and always reach out to Walt Oko. If not, if you need to get on there, he can give you maybe a demo of it or give you some demo licenses to get going. But I highly recommend that if you want to be knowing where the whole world is going with drugs, drug devices, MedTech, then Orca 1 is a platform that I would encourage all my colleagues to be on.